Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our e-forum and good morning to all the audience. First of all, I would like to tell you that our topic for today's e-forum is about voidable contract and its effect. Before the forum begins, allow us to introduce our presenter, Ms. Nurin Afrina binti Roshidi, and the second presenter is Mr. Muhammad Afiq bin Cik Wang. Contract is an agreement which can be enforceable by law. Enforceable by law means that the contract is legally binding in nature and it fulfills all the requirements of law, creating mutual obligations on the party is concerned. Basically, a contract states rights and duties of the parties to contract as well as the terms and conditions of agreement. Now you must be wondering, what is an agreement? When one person offers something to another who in turn accepts the offer, it is called as an agreement. So in a nutshell, we can say that offer plus acceptance equal to agreement, wherein an offer states what exactly will be provided and acceptance means to give consent regarding the offer. Here must be noted that the consent must be given by the party to whom the offer is made. Without further ado, we would like to start our question and answer session. There will be two sessions. First, we start with presenter 1, Ms. Nurin. Can you explain to us what is the definition of a voidable contract?
Thank you to moderator. Assalamualaikum and good morning to all of you. Referring to the question, what is the definition of a voidable contract? Voidable contract is referring to a contract in which one party is in a position or has the right to rescind or enforce the contract when it is found or the contract contains some defect as to the free consent. This means that there is a lack of free consent of one of the parties to the contract, and so the party whose consent is effect has the right to deny performing his part or obligation. However, if the aggrieved party fails to exercise the option within a reasonable time, is turned into a legally binding contract. Moreover, if the party choose not to liquidate the contract that display the fact the contract remains valid and enforceable.
How about the characteristic? What are the characteristics of voidable contract?
Okay, voidable contract have many characteristics. Among its filters are concern, under influence, mistake, misrepresentation, and fraud. Have 5.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Nurin. As a conclusion, we get from panel 1 about voidable contract have 5 characteristics, such as coercion, under influence, mistake, misrepresentation, and fraud. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, now we go to the next question. In this session, we go to panel 2. Now we already know about voidable contract. So panel 2, can you explain about what is the difference between void and voidable contract?
Thank you to the moderator. According to the question, the difference between void and voidable contract are from the meaning is a void contract refer to a contract which fail to be enforceable by law when it lack enforceability, when a voidable contract is one in which one party has the option to enforce or avoid and not add the option to others or others. Next, different from the reason. The reason of the void contract is when is a change in law or circumstances, and voidable contract from the reason is when the concern of the party is not free. From different from the feasibility, the performance is from the void contract is perform of the contract is not possible, and from the voidable contract is when the aggrieved party do not exercise the right to rescind the contract within stipulated time. He or she can be sued by the others claim the performance. The difference from validity of void contract is a contract is valid when it is formed by the subsequent become void due to some unavoidable reason, and voidable contract is a contract is valid until the party whose concern is not free chosen to revoke it. The right of void and voidable contract is from the void contract is not right and are conferred to the party when the voidable contract are aggrieved party have been right to rescind it. And the last difference from the suite for damage from the voidable contract is not given by any parties to another parties. However, any benefit received by any parties have been be restored back and the voidable contract is damaged can be claimed by the aggrieved party.
Can you explain in detail how can a voidable contract be enforced? Valid contract be enforced? A voidable contract become valid? What is the enforcement of voidable contracts limited by, and what makes a contract void, voidable, or unenforceable?
Voidable contract be enforced by the Act state that the voidable contract is enforceable by law at the option of one or more parties but is not at option of the other party. A void contract will be considered valid if do not changed by the aggressive party within a reasonable times. A valid contract can be enforced by the basic element required for the agreement to be legally. Enforceable contract are mutual assent expressed by the offer the action, adequate consideration, capacity and legality. In the sum of state, element of consideration can be justified by the valid substitute. Available contract become valid with if either party agree to in the term, if the party who has reason to disfirm to the contract elect instead to perform it. If the party who have reason to disfirm the contract elect instead to perform it. The enforceable of voidable contract limit by the enforcement of voidable contract, however, is limited by the statute of limitation. Certain other contracts which are the valid may not be enforceable due to the statute of fraud. A contract voidable or enforceable made by the at most one party will be bound the contract, but the other party have the option to avoid the contract by rejecting it. Contract can be usually voidable due to undue influence, duress, misrepresentation or fraud. Also demand on the substance. A court may allow the voidable contract can be rewritten or amended.
Next, we go to section 2. How about both of our panel explain the situation will be given and about the effect of a voidable contract? We start with panel 1.
Okay, as we can see today, many cases involve fraud. What is fraud? Okay, fraud, whenever a person causes another to act on a false representation which the maker himself does not believe to be true, he is said to have committed a fraud. We can see in section 17 of Contract Act 1950 also explain about fraud. Fraud within the meaning of this section requires the doing of an act by a party to a contract with the necessary intention to deceive the other contracting party. Fraud also refers to deceitful act intended to induce the other party to enter into a contract. Among the examples of situation that can be seen, In the case of Latami Arumagan v. Anamale, this case in 1982 was uncurious. The defendant had made a fraudulent misrepresentation to the plaintiff and iterate Indian woman Rabi Tab and induced her to enter into a sale and purchase agreement. The defendant had fraudulently represented to the plaintiff that the document she was required to sign was for a loan she took for her land. In fact, the document she signed included a sale agreement relating to the land, a transfer of the land. The court found the agreement was voidable at the option of the plaintiff and must be rescinded. The basic difference between misrepresentation and fraud is that in fraud, the person making the representation does not himself believe in its truth, whereas in case of misrepresentation, he may believe the representation to be true. Okay, that's all about situation fraud.
Next, we go to panel 2. How about the effect of voidable contract about coercion? Can you explain to the audience?
The situation about caution, according to section 15 of the Contract Act of 1950, caution is the committing or threatening to be commit any act forbidden by the penal code or unlawful detaining or threatening to commit any act forbidden by the penal code or unlawful detailing is threatening to detain any property to the prejudice of the any person whatever with the intention of course by the person to enter into the agreement. Coercion refer to an unlawful act done with intention of course the person enter into the agreement.
Ladies and gentlemen, finally we come to an end part of our presentation. We would like to say thanks again to presenter for the informative and interesting talk, and especially to audience for active participation. Hopefully the presentation will be beneficial for everybody. Thank you for your attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.